Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Bryan from Keeping Up with the Nerds, and with me is Peyton Koch and Shelly
Westerman.
Westerman. Okay, I knew it was with the W, knew it was with the West, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But Shelly Westerman and Peyton Koch, editors, and you were also
A co-producer.
Co-producer for Only Murders in the Building. It's the biggest one. But is there anything else that you guys have worked on before? Any other projects?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot.
Go ahead, please.
We worked on a number of Ryan Murphy projects together.
Okay.
American Horror Story, Ratchet on Netflix. We both have done different seasons of American Crime Story. We've really been fortunate to work on a bunch of different types of projects, different genres.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Everything that you just said, everyone probably has seen one or two episodes of. 100%. It's great. But you guys are editors, basically the people, post-production, the unsung heroes who basically make sure that everything is perfect, or as perfect as can be before it gets put out for the audiences, right?
Yeah.
I will tell you right now that as someone who edits our videos and stuff like that, I tend to have, they say it's more than a tad bit, but like when it comes to OCD, making sure that everything is framed perfect when it comes to certain things. This is more of like a fun question just to start off. Do you guys have any of those kind of issues when you guys are editing pieces, making sure that this piece is to connect this piece correctly to make sure it's like to the frame correct?
Yeah.
1,100 million times a day.
Yes.
We're so anal about it.
Just making sure that everything's perfect.
Yeah, and like, so, you'll get in that like rhythmic funk where you're like watching it over and over and over, and you're going back and you're playing it again. You shift to 2 frames and then you're back, and then constantly trying to like play it until you feel like, okay, this is it. And even like after air for me, I'm like, oh god, like can we go back and like it's like you have to let go. You're like, no, it's fine, it's fine.
So how many times do you guys go over scenes just to make sure that it's right? Because I find myself doing it like, I mean, we're doing like 5-minute videos, which is
and it's
like
countless.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys are constantly revisiting and just at this point it's just the same thing, right?
Yeah. And I mean the process sort of, it's like we'll do our cut and then we watch it 1,000 times until we feel like our editor's cut's good. Then we work with the director for a few days. They'll change it, do their thing, then that moves on to the producers. They do their cut, their producer's cut, and then so it's like all these different rounds of notes. So we're seeing it, countless times in the different versions, different states of the cut, and then it'll go to the studio and then ultimately getting it to locked picture, which is what is seen on air.
So then this brings me to this question. When it comes to the creative process of developing a scene, kind of the director's the one that'll make the final choice and be like, this is what I really want, this is how I feel the scene should work. And in the panel you mentioned for the scene that you showed there, which was, it was season 3 of Only Murders, and I don't remember the episode, but it was basically what was shown was 4 separate storylines being told all at once as Steve Martin's character is basically singing the piece that he can't get through, right? So when it comes down to developing that scene, you said that there was a plan already set with the names of the actors and the scenes that they were going to be playing. As editors, do you guys have a creative input on how it gets shown? Or is it kind of like you talking to the director and saying like, well, this is kind of what I want to show off, make it happen? Like who has the most creative process, or do you guys even get to put a creative thought into it?
Oh no, we absolutely do. Yeah, I think there's a lot of back and forth between us, the showrunners, the directors, producers, like everyone's got input, but we're the first people who get that footage and kind of create something to start with.
Yeah.
So we're making all those choices to begin with to create the first draft of the scene.
The first draft?
Yeah.
So how many drafts of that scene were there?
I don't know either. There were a lot. It went through various different stages because, we started out with the map, like you said, where we had title cards with the different characters and mapping out how the frames were going to move. And then as the footage was coming in, then it's the next decision of which take, which camera angle, so there's all these different layers of decisions that go into a sequence like that where you're seeing 4 different storylines being told at once. So many rounds, like But then, like I was saying in the panel, we got it to a place where we felt so good about it with the directors that when the producers got involved, they were so thrilled with it that it didn't change very much after that, because of the intensive pre-production work that we did. It just made it in the back end a smoother process.
Yeah.
But we still would have a lot of back and forth, especially with Steve's takes. It's like, oh, we should be wider here so we can see all the musicians playing, or hey, he does this really funny thing in goofy face close. So we would make those decisions. So let's be close on Steve for that when he starts flapping his arms and he looks cute in that size shot.
Yeah.
So like even though we had mapped it out, we had different cameras rolling, 2-3 cameras on each take of Steve. So we would be kind of picking visually kind of what we liked that worked well within that framework of split screens.
Yeah. And you mentioned like Steve Martin's posture in that.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing I really enjoyed about his persona as that character in Only Murders is that he's very relaxed in certain scenes, and then when he has to perform, it's this.
Very tight.
Yeah, and so that scene always makes me laugh because, granted, if people haven't seen it, he can't perform that bit at all up until that point. He kind of like whites out and goes into a separate room. So you can see that the struggle is shown off like this.
Yeah.
And you show it a lot in that scene, enough that it's not tiresome and you still can pay attention to everything else, but enough that you're still able to sell Steve Martin's character. So as editors, you guys are working with multiple different people. And when you break down that scene, you guys have to deal with the scenes that are given to you, the audio, because you guys mentioned that Steve Martin did multiple takes of that, and he did a live performance several different times. But then there was also ADR that was put into there. So how many working components do you have to work with constantly to make a full episode happen?
Wow.
There are so many people involved, especially in, the music aspect of the song. We were the first ones to assemble it, and, again, we thought we did a pretty good job at lining up his performance, his mouth, to match the pre-record. But then we had our amazing music team led by was he the music director, Ian? He was the director, and so he would come in and essentially break it all down syllable by syllable, changing the cut from the pre-record to what Steve recorded live, and then they brought him in to do additional recordings, whether if they needed a breath or they needed him to match his mouth specifically in the picture, just because they wanted it to be as diegetic and real in the room as possible. And so it went through, I guess, us, Ian, Benj and Justin, John, Sid, our composer. There were so many people who had their eyes on it that made it that final product, but that's what happens when you have so many people, like, you get the best work. It came out so fantastic.
But you also have in our initial cuts, you'd have the take of Steve Martin lined up with his live performance, and then you have the song lined up under that, and you turn on the waveforms, and you're actually trying to match waveforms to get his live performance in sync with the pre-record. So there's a lot of like tiny micro little adjustments
Details
that you're making in that edit.
And that's where that OCD of like making sure that everything, it's like, oh my gosh, it's one frame of his mouth not matching the right tone.
Yep.
Now, when you edit for an episode, is it multiple different editors producing that or creating that episode, or is it just one main person?
So normally there would be like a rotation on Murders. It's a 10-episode show. There's 3 editors, and so on season 4, for example, Shelly is the first editor on, so she did number 1, and I was the second editor on, so I did episode 2, and then our third editor, his name's Matthew Barbato, he was on episode 3, and then we sort of do a rotation. So then Shelly came in and did number 4, I was number 5, he's number 6, and so forth. Shelly and I, because we have worked together on the show, and I started out as her assistant and then moved up to become editor, we share some episodes together, and at this point we've done season 2, season 3, and season 4 finale together, and just because it's more fun for us to be collaborative. But it normally is, it's normally one editor per episode, and you're sort of overseeing that whole that episode.
Can I ask how long it takes for you guys to be able to edit an episode for Only Murders?
It depends. So they shoot 2 episodes together at a time. It's called block shooting. So they'll shoot 1 and 2, and that total is maybe 10 or 12 days for the 2 episodes. So you're getting all your footage every day. Maybe someday he gets footage and I get footage and he doesn't, or whatever it is. But by the end of that 10 10 or 12 days, you only have like 1 to 2 days to turn in your cut to the director. It's super fast.
Yeah.
And the director's got like 2 days to work with you, and then it goes right to the producer. So
No.
there's not a lot of time.
No, and like a general oversight is like, I'm only on the show 4.5 months from like when I start till wrap. It's really fast.
It's quick.
Very fast
Super
turnaround.
fast.
Blink and it's completely.
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
by.
Now, as an episodic show, do you guys ever work together on episodes? So, like episode 1 or 2, like, okay, we got to make sure that this scene matches that. I'm gonna be 100% honest. The show is great because it helps me. When I watch anything, I'm very detail oriented, and so I'll watch a movie and I'll be like, that frame doesn't match the last one because his arm was here and now it's like over here. I'm that detailed. What's so great about Only Murders is that I'm very attentive to the details that are left behind because I'm always trying to solve the murder before the last episode. And it shocks me that I can't find, or I find myself being distracted by other details that I can't really like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
the focus is
Yeah,
all over
yeah.
the place. I can't even figure that out.
Yeah.
So it's a great job, but that's why I'm asking, like, do you guys
Yeah.
ever collaborate on
Oh.
episodes to make sure that scenes match?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talk a lot. As co-producer, I've kind of made sure that editors are invited to all the tone meetings, concept meetings, production meetings, so that they can hear everything that's going on for every episode. And then we all talk amongst ourselves. Our assistants do a great job of being a safety net. They're talking to each other. They're watching what we're doing. They'll call out things. Hey, you can't put in that because that's going to be this thing in another episode. So there's a lot of checking each other.
And just an open dialogue of like,
Yeah.
you know, because scripts are also coming in. Like, we don't have the whole show by the time we start, you know, so we're also figuring it out,
You guys
you know, as we're going. We're
pieces
like,
get put-
yes,
yeah.
yes. So where the scripts come in, and then we'll maybe, you know,
Yeah.
you get episode 8, and you're like, oh, wait, we need to go back in episode 2 and plant this thing that's gonna pay off later, you know. So like, there's a lot of openness, and you know, it's not like, oh, we're done with episode 2, let's move on. Like, we'll go back and like plant stuff, or it's like, oh wait, we actually want to hold for a beat longer on that character to like linger for this clue later. So
Yeah.
we're always trying to like keep in touch with each other of like what the intention behind everything, and just like keeping the mystery going.
Or cut the scene because it gives too much. For
Right,
this.
yeah,
that
exactly.
100% makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, we do have to wrap up this interview. It sucks because I've been enjoying this conversation. But what do you guys have any advice for anyone that wants to become an editor, supervise a show like you do, or, you know, just get into the industry in general? Is there any advice you can give our audiences?
Yeah, well,
I always say to people to just, if it's something that you're interested in, something you want to do, to just reach out to people and, you know, get connected, start making that network. I stalked people on LinkedIn and weaseled my way in to get a post-production assistant job. I think doing the PA route is an amazing way to get connected and meet people. It's how I met Shelly and was able to sort of, you know, build my career. And yeah, so I just say, like, shoot your shot and don't be afraid to put yourself out there, reach out to people. There are amazing people that work in post, and they like eager and
yeah, they want
talented
to help.
people.
That's usually what we say. It's the network that you build. It's the contacts that you make. Keep in touch with people. Those are the people who are going to get you jobs, that are going to get you into the industry. A lot of editors that I know today that are, you know, doing big fancy things, we were all assistant editors together back in New York. We've all stayed friends for 25, 30 years. And that's what matters. It's that support system, and it's that network.
Perfect. Yeah, networking is important, especially when it comes to this industry, because
Yeah.
you never know. I think one of the quotes that we got from a performer last interview we had was, luck is preparation meets opportunity.
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like, it's a thing that's always stuck in my head, so
Yeah.
it always helps out to, you know, hear other people's perspectives.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for interviewing with us and allowing me to pick your brain on becoming editors, because like I said, I work on editing stuff, very minor stuff with skits and everything that we do here,
Yeah.
but it's always interesting to hear what you guys do behind the scenes to make the show as good as it is, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps it up here for Keeping Up with the Nerds, an interview with Peyton Koch. I almost said Scotch. I was like, no, without the S. And Shelly Westerman. See, almost there. But you would have given me another like minute probably to figure that out.
Thank you.
But yes,
Thank you.
we'll be covering more of LA Comic Con 2024, so please check out all the other videos. Is there anything you guys want to plug in, socials or projects that you guys are working on?
Oh. I just finished season 4, so I'm on a break until season 5.
Cool.
What is my Instagram?
It's
At
film.
filmgirl13.
Yeah.
It's my Instagram.
Perfect.
I'm on Facebook as Shelly Westerman.
My Instagram is Peyton J. Koch, and I am gonna start the next season of the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender pretty soon. So I'm super excited about that.
That's crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
well, 2 things I'm looking forward to. I'm 2 episodes behind on season 4 of Only Murders, but I'm also keeping an eye out for Avatar. So, a lot of stuff to watch. But that is it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Please check out their links in the description below if you guys want to see more about them, learn more about them, and please check out our other videos covering LA Comic Con 2024. With that, my name is Bryan signing off, and we'll see you all in the next one.